What's up, y'all? Today I'm gonna start something new. Every once in a while, I'm going to read a chapter of Spirit Warriors, my very own original copy of my book. And I hope y'all enjoy it. I'm gonna start on the first chapter this time. Tariq Foster sat on the edge of his twin-sized bed, the bottom of his feet pressed against the coarse carpet. He shivered as the last few spots of sweat on his back dried up. His eyes burned as he focused on the empty space between his door and the dresser he shared with his two younger brothers. The sunlight just started to peek between the tattered blinds that hung from the one window in his room. He wanted to close his eyes so badly, but they just wouldn't fall. The dreams had come back. He thought that years of concentrating on sports or school before he went to sleep had successfully ended the reoccurring nightmare. But he was mistaken. He rubbed the edges of his knuckles. The images pounded against his skull, green eyes glowing bright like an emerald, thin, dull pink lips, shining green armor like knights from medieval times, and a bow that glimmered under the yellow sun. It always started off good. The woman spoke to him pleasantly, asked him questions about things he didn't understand, but he couldn't answer them correctly, and her eyebrows furrowed. Tariq flinched. His bed squeaked. The green arrow flashed into the air. The entire sky turned dark and the woman lunged at him. After that, darkness. He slid onto the floor. No point in trying to go back to sleep now. He grabbed his phone and walked to the bathroom. He turned on the faucet and let the water run on his hand. He cupped the lukewarm water in his palms and doused it across his rich brown skin. He sighed and wiped the spotted mirror. His mother rushed into the bathroom and emptied her stomach into the toilet. Tariq cringed as her hurls screamed over the faucet. She picked up herself and wiped her mouth with the back of her hand. "Did you wake your brothers up?" Tariq shook his head. Her eyes were low. Her skin was a lifeless brown. The thick smell of booze oozed from her mouth and invaded his nose. Tariq bit his lip. She stood behind him, swaying side to side like a zombie. The hairs on the back of Tariq's neck stood up. He held his breath, praying she'd leave. She sucked in a deep breath and trudged out. Tariq exhaled. His mother's late-night drug binges had become more frequent over the last few months. Tariq never had the courage to tell her anything. He entered his room and slapped against the wall. "Wake up!" Tevin moaned. "Shut up!" Kendrick said from under his covers. Tariq flipped the covers off their beds. "Get up and get ready for school." His brothers kicked and slapped at their beds, but eventually got up. Tariq smiled. "Good. Don't be hollering. Mama is in her room trying to sleep." The room fell silent as they all stared at each other. Kendrick broke the awkward stillness and exited. Tevin followed behind him. Tariq didn't want them to experience what he had gone through with his mother when he was younger. He was there for the downward spiral of her life. He could still remember the first time he'd seen her take drugs. He would have been 5 years old. He was lying in his bed trying to fall asleep like his mom had told him, but the music was too loud. He coughed as the smoke from the living room seeped into his room. Tariq hopped out of his bed and went searching for his mother. He needed to tell her that he couldn't sleep. He needed one of those kisses she gave him. Tariq peered as he stumbled through the smoke-filled hallway. He followed the sound of the music. Adults were everywhere. The women were dressed in tight clothes too small for their bodies. The men were wearing big clothes and the kind of hats Tariq always saw on TV. He had never seen so many adults in one room. He caught a glimpse of translucent figures floating in and out of their bodies. He was aware that no one else could see what he saw, so he kept it to himself. Tariq shuffled through the crowd of tall bodies. He spotted his mother's boyfriend talking to other adults with a drink in his hand. "Randy!" Tariq ran up to him. Randy's face twisted in disgust. "What, boy?" Tariq pulled on Randy's clothes. "Where's my mom?" Randy scanned the room. "There. Go mess with her." He pointed to the sofa. Tariq froze in place when he spotted her. She was wearing clothes similar to the other women, with her hair tied in a bun. Her eyes were bloodshot red, and she swayed back and forth in slow motion. What was going on? She picked up a few small pills and dropped them into her mouth. Was she sick? Tariq moved to approach her. She downed a drink and screamed. Tariq slowed his pace. Was it a good idea to talk to her now? He had never seen his mother like this before. Tariq stopped a few steps from her. Her expression was empty, like she was blind. She looked down in his direction and grinned. Her body fell forward, but Randy caught her at the last moment. Whoa, clumsy little girl, aren't you? His mother laughed hysterically. Tyreek trembled. Randy looked around. Somebody take the kid back to his room. A woman Tyreek had never seen before grabbed his hand. Come on, little man. He watched his mother as he was ushered back to his room until the wall blocked his vision. Tyreek blinked the tears away. He picked up his faded school pants and smelt them. Cotton with a hint of must. Tyreek shrugged. Good enough. He slipped the pants on and slid into his school shirt. Tyreek walked to the edge of his room and listened for the faucet running. He heard water constantly splashing against the sink and his brothers arguing over who was going to brush their teeth first. Tyreek shook his head, smirking. He had to move away. He began to move away until he heard faint sobs coming from his mother's room. Tyreek's shoulders slumped. What was wrong with her now? He stepped into the hallway and made his way towards the living room. Her cries got louder. Tevin and Kendrick poked their heads out of the bathroom. Tyreek turned around to their wide-eyed expressions. He huffed and shooed them away, back into the bathroom. I'll go see what's up. Every step was like needles stabbing his feet. Tyreek clenched his fist as he approached his mother's room. He could still hear her soft cries. Tyreek wrapped his hand around the doorknob and twisted it open slowly. An eerie sensation went up his spine. Oh no. The room was murky and smoky. Tyreek squinted. He stepped into the room, fanning away the smoke. Ma? He coughed. He saw her silhouette in the corner of the room, hunched over like a wildcat. Ma! Tyreek's heart quickened. He stepped towards her, but stopped. A huge, hairy creature towered over his mother. The top of his head scraped the ceiling. Its burning red eyes glowed in the dark room. It draped his long-nailed arm over his mother's back. Tyreek trembled. He had never seen this one before. He tried to scream, but it caught in his throat. The creature turned its head slowly and lifted his long finger to its lips. An unseen force pushed Tyreek out of the room and slammed the door. Tyreek climbed to his feet. The hallway was pitch black. No doors, no closet, no end. He ran through an endless tunnel, wheezing. He felt his heart beating like drums against his chest. He was never going to get out of this. Tears streamed down his face. He could still hear his mother's cries echoing off the walls. He burst through the front door. The morning light felt like freedom on his skin. He pressed his back against the door and sat with his legs sprawled out in front of him. Hermano, you all right? Jose and a group of kids they hung out with were walking past him on their way to school. Tyreek wiped his face and forced a smile. Yeah, bro, what's up? Jose frowned and quickly pushed it away. You walking with us? Tyreek nodded and pushed himself to his feet. Okay, that was chapter 1. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Get ready for the next one, so be on the lookout. Thank you.